So Scott is on holiday for the next few weeks and has given me the responsibility of running the show in his absence. I'm going to try and stick with the formula of the show, and to start off with, I'm going to try and do my best imitation of Scott's dad jokes to kick things off. So here we go. Did you hear about the guy who dipped his balls in glitter? Neither have I, but I heard it was pretty nuts.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. That was a pretty bad dad joke.
Yeah, it's rough, isn't it?
Before we forget, you want to die tonight?
Hypochondriac with asthma is in there.
I just lose all sense of equilibrium and I don't know what's happening.
I'm going to say 9 out of 10. Always enjoy watching it every time.
Windmills were fire hazardous.
He literally used the paycheck to pay for a house. That's all it was for.
Meeting someone for the first time, you wouldn't be talking like that.
Because he was so stoned, he'd like half fallen asleep.
You and Tasha are meant to be. Y'all figure that shit out.
I just got fired yesterday. I'm free.
I swear to God, I'm gonna stick that whoop up your asshole.
Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast. My name is Marc and welcome to the first episode of Season 6. We have some pretty exciting things in store for you this season. A few changes to the format and some new ways of getting you all involved as we go. The majority of these changes are probably going to be made upon Scott's return, but over the next couple of episodes, I'm going to try and sprinkle a few of these things in to give you a little taste of what's to come. If you are unfamiliar with the show, and this is the first time listening, then we are a weekly horror movie review show run and controlled by you, the listeners. Usually I'm sat here with showrunner and You Run podcast pioneer Scott. However, Scott has gone on a holiday, well-deserved, might I add, for a few weeks with his family, probably sitting on a beach sipping cocktails somewhere right now. And this leaves me to run the show alone. Well, not exactly. I decided to call him back up, and I figured who better than the fantastic and very well-equipped hosts of Spaceman and the Doll Podcast.
Scary movies.
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Hiya, Georgie.
Swallow this. Cat dead. Details later.
I am the devil.
Welcome to the show, Katie Zephod.
Thank you for having us.
Hello.
So, obviously, Zephod, I know you've been here before, but Katie, this is a first for you. And the reason I have brought you both back together is because earlier on in the season, obviously, you were supposed to come on as a duo, but Katie obviously couldn't make that episode. And you have been reigning champion so far, Zephod, in the quiz up until season finale, where you was just pipped at the post slightly by Heather Philman from Wednesday.
I kind of figured Heather would take over.
Yeah, you did so well getting all the way to the end of the season as well, unfortunately. So I figured it was only right to bring you both back and make you sit broken spirit together as a duo as originally intended. So before we get to that, time to kick off the show with the recommended account of the week.
Check it out!
It's that time of the week. It's time for Marc to recommend an account.
So usually each week I bring you an account from across all social media platforms that I would recommend to you guys to follow and show some love to. However, this week things are slightly different, and for that reason, I'm going to ask the guest to provide us with their recommended account of the week. So Zephod, take it away.
So I decided to recommend Welcome to Horrorland, which is a UK-based clothing company that mainly focus on horror-related merch and stuff. So you get hats, t-shirts, prints. They've even done aprons for Dexter.
Oh, that's cool. I really struggle with finding stuff in the UK for like clothing brands and things like that. I mean, I know there's plenty of them out there, but 9 times out of 10, the coolest ones that I tend to find are like American-based. And like shipping costs a fortune.
Yes, it's a small one. It's run by 2 people called Sadie and Katie. They're very,
cool.
Very nice. I've spoken to them briefly. They've got some cool stuff, including the stab shirt that I'm wearing.
I noticed the stab shirt when you came on. That is very cool. I do like that.
Obviously, people can't see it, but
I'll put a post on the social medias when we drop this episode so they can see it.
But yeah, they do all sorts of stuff. They've even done mystery boxes. They've got one for, well, as of recording, they have one for Scream 2022.
The mystery box, is that the kind of thing where you like subscribe to and it comes each week, or is it just a one-off box?
What they do is they put, it's like a t-shirt or a jumper with some prints and like a print and some extra bits like replicas of props and stuff. Like there was a Scream one that came out last year and it had like a little Deputy Dewey badge in it.
Oh yeah, I get where you go with it. That's
They basically
cool.
just do them based off like a certain film every so often. They've done a Nightmare on Elm Street one, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Scream, and the newest Scream.
Yeah, nobody needs that Buffy one, but I'll definitely check that account out. What was that you said?
Welcome to Horrorland.
Welcome to Horrorland. And welcome to Horrorland if you are listening. Zephod would like a free mystery box.
I don't need it, it's fine. I'll just pay for it.
So on with the movie. This week, after losing her father and brother in a boating accident one summer's day on the lake, young Angela is sent to live with her aunt. Years later, a traumatized Angela struggles to fit in with the rest of the kids at summer camp as bodies begin to pile up around her. Buckle in this week as we take a trip to Camp Arawak.
Dear Mom and Dad, I've been at a sleepaway camp for almost 3 weeks. And I'm getting very scared.
Welcome to Sleepaway Camp. Someone is watching you.
Hey, Baba, Reba!
Someone is waiting for you. Someone wants to scare you to death. Sleepaway Camp. You won't be coming home.
That's right. This week we are tackling camp slasher fan favorite Sleepaway Camp. Now, again, this is another season first for me. What about you guys? Have you seen this before?
So I saw it last year for the first time, like beginning of the year, I think.
I saw it when I was 18 years old, high on ecstasy, so I don't remember it.
That's an experience.
Wow, that's a trip and a half. Jesus Christ. I struggle with this film sober, let alone on ecstasy. Holy shit. Things kick off as one of the weirdest opening sequences I probably have seen in a long time. This is a very, very sort of dramatic build up as it shows panning shots around a very desolate camp, and we hear voiceovers of what I can only assume is basically that events that are going to unfold throughout the course of this film. And then
sounds like it.
I figured, yeah, and it sort of lingers on Camp Arawak, however you pronounce that sign, saying camp for sale. And then from there we immediately cut back to, I say we cut back, it doesn't really give us any sort of time frame where we are when we're cutting to and from. I'm assuming the opening is sort of the events of after the film, and when we cut now is to pre the film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe, because I know the boat accident is 8 years before the main events.
Yeah, but we only find that out after the boat accident, and we finally get a title card which explains to us that this is set 8 years prior to that accident. So it's very jarring, these first opening minutes. But basically, we're on the lake and we see John playing with his children, Peter and Angela. They're playing pranks and they push their dad John into the lake. And also, while on the lake, there is another group of teens who are playing about in a boat, and the teens lose control of the boat, which attacks. I say the boat attacked. I'm surprised they managed to lose control of this boat. This is a very big lake. The boat crashes into John, killing John and Peter, as husband Larry looks on in horror. Finally, we get our title card explaining to us that this is set 8 years later, and Angela is now living with her extremely eccentric and terribly acted aunt and her son Ricky. Where were you guys with this aunt, by the way?
She was going ham. She was chewing it. She was, oh, Jesus.
Where was you at with this, Katie? Because what did you think when you watched this? Because I just couldn't understand whether this acting was intentional or.
I respected it. I thought it was pretty good. I like people like that where you can't tell. I think, I liked it. I like characterization like that where you can't tell like what's real and what's script, and yeah,
I get that. I can appreciate that. It just felt very strange to me the way she was being so ridiculously over the top. I found it quite difficult to sort of follow along with it based on how silly she was being with the performance.
I don't even think she got a script. I think she just got guidelines.
I think with that kind of acting, it's got to be improvisation because I couldn't imagine that written on a script.
No, I couldn't either, to be honest with you. How would you possibly write that down on paper? We finally learned from Ricky's aunt that she's shipping them both off to Camp Owlwipe for the summer. The camp looks like every sort of other slasher camp that we've seen across the genre. But when we arrived there, the thing that I found the most disturbing about this place is the camp head chef, Artie. When these kids arrive, he uses the phrase, "Ooh, look at all these young, fresh chickens. Where I come from, we call them baldies."
Yeah, it's so gross.
I was horrified, absolutely horrified that they put this kind of dialect in this film. And this is filmed in the 80s as well.
It's the fact that none of the other chefs are like, maybe cut that out. They're all just like, haha, yeah.
Rein it in, that's not appropriate. They just roll with it. And he's
like, oh, they're a bit too young. And then and then obviously the main one's like, they're never too young. You're just too old. It's like,
yeah, because this isn't the kind of camp slasher that you see in like Friday the 13th, where they're 21, 25-year-old supposedly teens. I mean, these are clearly young kids, sort of 10, 11, 12. And
yeah,
I just found these comments very, very disgusting, to be perfectly honest with you.
Just a sign of the era, you know, that's just how it was in the 80s. There was no holds bars. Everything's very politically correct these days. Like, you got to admit, like, this movie wouldn't really, if it was released as it was with these, there'd be outcry. It'd be pulled just like a dash cam was, you know. I mean, that was pulled just for having these views about Donald Trump and, you know, all these things she was saying about Republicans and all the slurs she was saying. So if you could imagine, well, especially with the whole Me Too thing and the prevalent pedophile stuff that's been coming out in the past decade or so, it just wouldn't stand now, would it? But
no,
it gets to stay because it's such a quirky, weird little film. But I don't know. I was a bit like as well. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I think it fits well with the film due to the overall tone of it. Had this been in a more serious film, I think it maybe would have been taken a little bit differently. But I think because of the silliness that's especially coming off the back of the scene with the ant, it just kind of rolls with it. But in hindsight, it's not great.
No.
And from this point on, Angela has been quiet for a few days and hardly eaten any food, and Ronnie takes her to the kitchen to meet head chef Artie, the paedophile we've just been discussing. It's clear this guy has some very bad ulterior motives, and he takes her back into the pantry and starts to unbuckle his trousers. Luckily, Ricky comes to her aid just in time.
Ricky's like proper savior through this entire film.
Yeah, Ricky's the man. He really is. He really, really is. And later on after this, we see a point of view perspective as someone is watching Artie in the kitchen, and as he's on a stool staring one of the biggest crock pots I've ever seen in my life, the stool gets pulled from underneath him, and you can hear him arguing back and forth with, "No, please don't do it, please don't do it." Eventually, the stool's pulled away. He falls and gets covered in this scalding hot liquid water material.
I think it's like a broth in it, sort of thing.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, what did you guys think to this? Are you happy with this at this point? Do you like the kill? Do you like the practical effects?
I'm kind of glad that he's out of the picture.
Yeah, I'm glad he
lingered on his face a bit much, though.
No, I really like the practical effects here. I thought they were very well done.
There's some good ones throughout the film, to be fair.
Yeah, the burning, the scarring material and tissue and stuff is really clever, especially for the time period this was filmed in. I thought they'd done a really, really good job at this point with this scene.
What was that scalding which movie was that in, Zephod, for Halloween, the scalding scene? Do you remember?
2.
Halloween 2. The one where she gets to me. Yeah, that's pretty
cool. Yeah.
Later on, during a game of baseball featuring some very, very tight shorts and some very, very tight t-shirts, Ricky and his team are bullying. Well, I say bullying. They're having a very cocky attitude towards the older lads. Later, this sort of comes back again as Angela is ridiculed in what's sort of like a disco hall where they all sort of meet on a night.
Yeah.
It comes to blows. Ricky takes a few punches and he is sent off to the infirmary while Paul, Ricky's BFF forever, talks to Angela, and she finally speaks. We finally get some words. I was quite surprised by this. I was expecting her to be mute throughout.
I think the first time I watched it, I was expecting her to be mute as well. But
yeah,
she gets very chatty after this.
She does. She does get very chatty after this point. Kenny, the one who was insulting Angela in the mess hall, he takes I can't remember the name of the girl who he takes out on the canoe. They go out on this canoe, and he does a sort of laddish prank and rocks the boat, causing them both to fall in. She swims away, leaving Kenny out on the water alone. And at this point, I keep referring to it as Angela who is going to do this, but we don't know who it is who is taking these sort of assaults on everybody on camp. But she drowns poor Kenny.
Yeah, no, he seemed like a nice guy, relatively, compared to the
Kenny's
rest of them.
The first sort of death we get, really, isn't he? He's the one who is
first full death.
He's the first full death. Although Artie was damaged, it's Kenny who takes it, really. The next morning, his body is discovered, and again, his body, I don't know how it looks like this after just being in the water for 4 hours, but the practical effects on him look really, really cool as well.
I mean, that snake must have done some damage. There's a snake that comes sliding out of his mouth.
Yeah, well, it's the head of camp, Mel, who once again tries to brush this under the rug, claiming that it was just an accident, coincidentally 2 days in a row. After some camp shenanigans that we see and an awkward kiss from Paul, we start to see the plot move forward when, under the influence from an apparent jealous Judy, Meg goes over and sort of loses her shit towards Angela and kicks off at her for saying, "Why aren't you speaking? Why aren't you talking?" And we sort of see like the lads from earlier who start throwing water bombs at her and they knock her to the floor. And I don't know, I'm just, where were you guys with this? Because we're like near 20-25 minutes in now, and it just all felt a little bit.
I want to know why they stood on the roof. That's
yeah,
such a health hazard.
A little bit high
even for the 80s.
You know?
They was just launching water bombs at each other on the roof. Like,
yeah, it all just felt a little bit high schooly and teen sort of drama-ish. I don't know if this is what I wasn't really expecting it to take this direction. I mean, people talk about Sleepaway Camp being this almighty 80s slasher, but
yeah,
I was finding myself slightly bored by this point.
I do think, like, I like the film, but it is slow, and the kills are very far between each other, I think.
I think there's a lot of movies that have that high school element to it that are classics, isn't there? And it's I get what you mean. It kind of gave me like very Carrie-esque vibes, you know, particularly when she's in the shower at the beginning and they're pelting her with tampons. It's just kind of like how relevant is this really to the story? I want to see some kills, not this teen drama. I'm not a huge fan of it either. Like I think it was, while it was necessary, I was feeling the same way that you were. I was like, oh, you know, boring.
Yeah. I was just getting
really
a bit like, come on, let's pick things up a little bit. Let's get this ball moving a little. And it's obviously after all the water bombing scene, I was like, right, some of these little shits need to start going now. They need to start taking some of them down.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And we do get a kill again, but it's not the kill I was expecting it to be. One of the older lads goes into the shower rooms and we see a hand. I'm going to refer to it as a hand throughout the rest of this instead of Angela. We see a hand slowly cut open a netted door, and she just pokes a bee's nest through the door, and this kills this lad instantly.
Unless this guy's gone into anaphylactic shock, how is he dead? And why is he like that messed up?
I'm just getting my girl flashbacks all over again.
Yeah, he needs his glasses.
So later that evening, Angela and Paul go for a walk down by the lake and have a flirtatious. Come on, guys, help me out. That's the one. Flirtatious walk, and this causes Angela to have flashbacks of the night of seeing her dad in bed with her husband. But it's a bit weird and jarring, this scene, because we then see her sat on this bed with her brother. The camera, the cinematography is quite clever and cool. The camera sort of rotates around the bed, and you see they point at each other, yeah, which is obviously
Peter points at Angela, should I say? I think it is.
Yes, which is obviously symbolism of what's coming forward. I have to give this film credit, really, for the homosexual representation it uses, especially for 1983. I thought it was quite cool. I don't know how well this would have gone down in the day. I mean, obviously by today's standards, it's nothing. But what I mean is, back in the 80s, I can't imagine this would have sat well with a lot of people.
I can imagine it being very out there when it came out.
Yeah.
It's very different in terms
it's
of...
one thing I give this film a lot of credit for. I think it's very boundary pushing.
Well, I know Felissa Rose talks a lot about transgender stuff at the moment. Like, she brings it up a lot when she goes to conventions to do this film.
Yeah, I'm not really well equipped to be able to deal with that kind of conversation. I don't know enough about that community to be able to pass judgment. I don't know how well they take this film as a representation of them, or do you know what I mean? I don't know necessarily where this falls with their representation of it. I don't know how it sits. So I'm not equipped enough to pass comment on that, unfortunately.
I don't want to anger anyone.
I think that at least you can say though that it does challenge the stereotypes typically found in those 80s. You know the typical tropes of how things are seen. And I do respect that a lot. I do think it is boundary pushing.
Definitely.
I'm not equipped to really make a comment on how they would perceive that either, the general community of that, but it's definitely different from what was typically around in that era. So
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think it's very, very shock factor, especially for the 80s. But again, like I say, with regards to the trans representation in this story, I don't know whether it's necessarily considered as being empowering for them or whatever, because it's not necessarily intentional that she's choosing to be that way. So I can't imagine how this is taken by that community. Exactly. So I can't imagine how that is taken within that community. But I digress. We're going way off topic with the trans community, and we'll come back on that later, I'm sure. But the next day, Paul is seduced by super bitchy Judy. How do we all feel about Judy?
I was so ready
She's
for her
a
to
bitch.
go. So ready for her to go. Jesus.
Honestly, everything she said and every time she was on screen, I was like, you need to die next.
She even wore a t-shirt with her own name on it. How vain is she?
I caught that as well. Well, the very nasty Judy seduces Paul, and she's caught in the woods by Angela, unfortunately, and Ricky. Judy and Meg are later on down by the lake, and they're sort of antagonizing her and teasing her about Paul and that she's sort of stolen her offer kind of thing. And Meg finally loses her shit with her, and they pick her up and throw her into the lake. While this is happening, Mel, the head camp counselor, he pulls Ricky aside and sort of insinuates that Ricky is responsible for the deaths that have been occurring on camp, and that he'd seen him multiple times on these locations when people have been dying.
Yeah, he's the red herring for the film.
He's not a very good red herring, though, because I didn't once think poor Ricky was involved in any way.
I mean, I think because obviously everyone's going after like someone who was rude or mean to Angela. I think that's the rough idea of it.
Yeah, because he's always coming to her defense. I mean, he might be a red herring to everybody else, but me as a viewer, I never once thought, oh, Ricky's responsible.
No, it's too sharp.
I don't know who that was. Why I was thinking it wasn't Ricky. I didn't necessarily think it was him at all. From here, though, things start to unravel quite quickly. Meg gets granted a night off, and she immediately goes to Mel to ask for this dinner date. I mean, Mel was like pushing 70. Am I right in thinking he's about that age?
I think she'd be about 18 because she's technically a counselor.
Yeah, she's sort of like one of the older youth counselors.
Yeah, so I'm guessing she's 17, 18. Still not right, but...
No, but I knew she was going to go next based on the fact that she was the one who threw Angela in the pool.
Yeah.
As she's showering for her date, she gets stabbed with a knife through the back of the curtain or the wall, whichever it is. I like this. I like how this lingers on this scene long enough for the killer to stick his hand through the shower screen and clean the knife before leaving. I thought that was a nice touch.
It was smooth.
Yeah. Paul does his best to make amends with Angela, and Angela asks him to meet her down by the lake at the waterfront later on in the night. In the meantime, Mel finds Meg's body and once again blames Ricky and swears revenge in one of the most sort of Godfather-esque speeches I've ever witnessed. I mean, this guy really, really brings it home and how much he's going to seek vengeance on Ricky for poor Mel's death.
Yeah, he's just so over it. He's so dead to rights thinking it's Ricky that's the killer.
Yeah.
And he's got such a vengeance for him.
He does. This is where things start to go a little bit of a miss for me, because we then cut to Judy in a room. The door open. I don't know how clear the quality of the copy you guys watched of this, but it's very clearly Ricky stood in the doorway. You can see
it's Ricky in a wig.
It's Ricky in a wig at the doorway, and there is no. One thing I don't like about stuff like this is the fact that it's one thing to try and influence you as a viewer to thinking it's somebody else, but to then blatantly use the same actor, so you're like, oh, look, I can see it's Ricky, it's definitely him,
and then
annoys me a little bit. Yeah, that annoys me a little bit. It's like watching a mystery thriller and thinking, ooh, Michael Myers is a killer, and you show Michael Myers in a doorway only for at the end it to be Jason Voorhees. You're like, hang about, what's going on here? I didn't like this. What did you guys think?
I think the idea was because obviously the actor for Ricky plays the killer throughout the film.
I didn't know that.
Because he's like the same sort of size as the girl that plays Angela.
Yeah, so, I mean, I noticed in a lot of the cutscenes, the hands look a lot more manlier than,
more
should I say, boy-like than girl-like, if that makes sense.
And I think, obviously, when they filmed it, it probably wasn't as obvious, but the amount of
these days now with Blu-rays and 4K copies, it's sort of...
it's very obvious now.
A little bit more glaring, yeah. But anyway, Ricky / mystery killer bursts in the door. He then smothers Judy's face with a pillow before... I am a balding man, but I don't own curlers. I think these are curlers. Are these hair curlers at this point?
Katie?
Yeah, they are.
They are. These things get extremely hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he kills Judy, she kills Judy, they kill Judy with these extremely hot curlers. I don't know whether it's insinuated how this is done, but it looks...
I think it is.
It is how it's insinuated, isn't it?
I think it is.
What did you think, Katie?
It was a lot.
Because it kind of looks like he's inserting this vaginally, and I was like, wow, that's rough.
I could feel it, I was like, I've never been through that myself, but it was just like, no,
I hope not.
But like, it's one of those, I don't know, like, have you ever seen the movie Hard Candy when he's like being castrated? Like, a lot of men can't sit and watch that, like, and be okay. And,
no, I can't either. That's a very, very hard watch.
Vagina was not okay for me. So
I do feel like her getting the roughest death is the most therapeutic you can be there, because obviously she's the biggest bitch in the world in this film.
Yeah, because it lingers on her screaming in the pillow.
Oh yeah,
it lingers on her muffling under a pillow for quite a while as well.
Nobody deserves to die death by curling iron in a vagina, Zephod.
I don't know. I feel like she did. She was just for wearing the shirt with a name on.
What, is that enough to justify this death?
Yeah. Don't wear your own name on a shirt. It's weird.
No, I definitely won't. Not in your presence, anyway.
I don't care.
I'm actually not even lying. I literally have a shirt with my name on it. I actually do.
Why?
I actually do. Somebody got me a t-shirt for my birthday, and it's like, like metal font. You can write whatever you want, and they put Katie in like metal, so you can't really even see that it's Katie, and it's pink, and it says my name on it, and I'm hurt right now. I'm not wearing it ever again.
At least you're not as
shamed
awful
me.
As she is. She's not as awful as she is, so it's fine.
You need to take a photo of that and send that to Zephod immediately.
It's hanging up in my wardrobe, and now I'm not putting it on anymore. You shamed me.
Devastating. Well, anyway, we then bounce over to a sort of rather strange subplot that we've had going on in the background. A load of the young boys have been taken off camping down the side of the lake, and a few of these boys decide that it's getting a little bit cold, and they want to go back to the lodges. So the older sort of camp counselor leaves them, and in doing so, they turns up, picks up an axe, and absolutely mutilates these kids in their sleeping bags. I mean, obviously, we don't see this happen on screen. We just see the aftermath of the event, but it's a very, very bold move. I mean, these kids are like 7, 8 at this point.
They're a lot younger.
You just don't see this happen in horror very often, where they're bold enough to take out kids at such a young age, especially the violent way that it's done. And I know we don't see it happen, but it's still insinuated that this is very graphic, in their sleep with this rusty axe she's just picked up off the floor.
Well, at least they went quietly. I would hope. I hope anyway.
I'm going to say, you would like to think so, but we then cut from this scene and we see the Godfather, Mel, stalking through the woods, and he finds Ricky and he beats him to death, basically.
He basically like knocks him out.
Yeah,
and on the floor, cold.
violently kicks the shit out of Ricky while he's on the floor. He leaves the scene, and in doing so, he's confronted by the real killer who shoots an arrow through his neck, which is very sort of Friday the 13th style death. My timelines are a little bit off here. Which came first? Does anybody know?
Kevin Bacon. Friday the 13th was 1980.
This was 1983, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Friday the 13th would have done it first.
There we go. That's your answer.
Can you use that on the quiz?
No, that's not part of your quiz question. Don't you worry. That's still to come. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, poor Paul is sat waiting down by the waterfront for Angela. She finally arrives and tells him to get naked to go for a dip, and she too begins to undress. We then get a cut shot of Ricky, who is thankfully isn't dead. He's just been very, very badly beaten. And he and I think he's the old account counselor, they start walking down to the waterfront in lookout for Angela and Paul, because they're sort of the only ones left. Yeah, they're left unaccounted for, so they're on the lookout for those. And when we finally get down to the beach, we see Angela with what appears to be a naked Paul sat lying in her lap, and she's stroking her hair. This is when we get that ultimate twist ending that everybody knows, regardless of whether you've seen this film or not.
Yeah, I knew this before I saw it.
Yeah, Angela stands up, completely unclothed, completely flat-chested, with a penis. She opens her mouth very widely, screams at the camera, and roll credits.
Yeah, it's definitely a twist for the 80s.
Where are you guys with this ending? Because I don't know. I knew it was coming. I knew how it ended, but when it did, I just sort of expected a little bit more context to it, because it just cuts. That's it. That's the end.
Yeah, I think it definitely cuts off a little bit earlier than it probably should have. There should have been a bit more to it, but I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's great.
I didn't know about that ending, so that was a surprise for me. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool then. So we'll get this sort of perspective from it then. So how did you find it, not knowing this was coming up?
I was like, well, what does that mean? You know, I kind of need things to be contextualized a little bit. I was kind of like, but why? I didn't understand it. I still don't understand it.
Well, we sort of basically, before I kind of jumped the ship a little bit, but we do get the kind of flashback sequence, which basically explains that it wasn't actually Angela who survived the boat crash at the beginning. It was Peter. Peter had gone to live with his aunt, and at the beginning, his aunt had basically said, well, I already have Ricky. I don't need another boy. You are going to be a girl. You are going to be Angela. And the crazy aunt from the beginning, has basically been the one who has created this whole scenario and situation and brought Peter up to be a girl, and basically forced him to live this life as Angela, which is clearly where we are at the end. It's not Angela, it was Peter. So Angela died in the boat crash and Peter survived. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was cool, but I kind of knew it was coming. I'd already seen what this film does and how it unfolds. I just kind of was expecting a little bit more to it at the end, and a little bit more of a resolution to what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, but that's why the sequels.
Have you guys seen any of the sequels?
I've not seen any of them, but I know there's about 4 sequels.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's 2, which is Teenage Wasteland, or is that 3? It's one of them. And then there's a 3rd one, a 4th one, and then the 5th one is called Return to Sleepaway Camp.
Wow, you know your stuff. I'll have to look.
Just because I need to watch them, they're on my list to watch.
Is Felissa Rose back in any of those? Is she back, or?
I think she's in the last one. I don't know if she's in the other 3.
Right. Okay.
I don't think she is.
Well, that's it. That's Sleepaway Camp. It's time to dive into 3-word reviews.
We wanted them. You delivered them. It's this week's 3-word reviews from the listeners.
Firstly, over at Twitter, we have Imitation Dave, who is a show fan favourite and hopefully will be back throughout the next couple of seasons. And his one is Not for Sleepovers. Over on Instagram, we now have Josh from Nightmare on Woodborough Lake, and he has said, it's a boy. Can't be a boy.
Sorry.
No, I like that one too. That was one of my favourites.
It's pretty good.
Cabin of the Horrors podcast has put the weirdest horror movie. And we have Elise from Horror Review Girl, and she's put what an ending. And finally, Heather Other Wednesday Wine in Horror, and she has said the best ending ever. The reason I have saved Heather to last was not coincidental. Guys, it's time to see if you can claim back your title from Miss Sullivan. It's time to play Broken Spirit.
I told you, I want to play a game.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood.
The power of Christ compels you!
What have you done to its eyes?
Well, it's elevated horror.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
You're going to like it.
I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
How was that, the slaughterhouse?
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Oh, I know this one, you fuck.
Broken Spirits has shattered the hopes and dreams of every competitor this season, including me and Scott. And last time we played this on the show, Heather Silliman walked away with an incredible 70 points. Now, she sat firmly at the top of the leaderboard. The question is can Spaceman and the Doll podcast take that away from her and reclaim their long-reigning position as Season 5 champions? The rules are simple. 15 questions, no help, 10 points per question. You get one wrong and it's game over. You can walk away at any time with the points you have. So, are you guys ready?
I am.
So it's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, except like there's no lifelines.
Yeah, they make it more difficult every time.
We didn't steal this show from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. This is something we created ourselves from our own mind.
Totally original. Sorry.
Right. Right, you guys ready? We'll just have a quick sip of my beer and we'll get ready to go. Right, so here we go. Question number 1. Which actress plays Angela in Sleepaway Camp 1983?
Felissa
You
Rose.
guys can compare, by the way. This is
I already know this one. It's Felissa Rose. It's fine. I got this one.
Felissa Rose. That is correct. Well done. 10 points. Probably write this down as I'm going. I don't know if Scott does as he goes. Is that like a professional thing to do? Shall I be writing your scores down or I can just remember?
Whichever.
I'll figure it out. Don't worry. Question number 2. Who directed the 2007 reboot of Halloween?
Come on, Katie, you know this one. It's your favourite director.
Rob Zombie.
Well done, that's correct. Another 10 points. That takes you up to 20 points. Question number 3. Excluding Freddy vs. Jason, how many Nightmare on Elm Street movies are there? Coincidentally, we already spoke about this on the show.
There's 8.
8.
Yes. You don't want to run through that and count them and make sure you definitely, before I lock your answer in.
If you're counting the reboot, then yes, there's 8.
I might count the reboot though, that's the question.
I would hope so. It's a Nightmare on Elm Street.
He's in it. You gotta count it.
I am counting it. Don't worry. That's 8. Well done. Another 10 points. That takes you up to 30. Here we go. Question number 4. In the first Scream film, director Wes Craven makes his cameo as a school janitor. What is the name of his character?
Fred Krueger.
David.
It's only Fred, but I will take Fred Krueger. That's correct. Well done. Another 4. That is 40 points. Question number 5. You guys are on a roll. You're doing better than you did last time, therefore on your own.
Yeah, for now.
For now. Question number 5, and this one is my favourite. We are returning to horror, not horror. The quote is, basically all I need you to do is tell me it is a horror or it is not a horror. So the quote from the film is, Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory. Again, you can confirm.
I want to say no, but I won't be able to. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't sound horror.
It kind of is giving me Quentin Tarantino vibes, like something Brad Pitt would say. George Clooney. I mean,
so
no, I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking.
Wait.
No, do you know what I mean?
You might be right.
It sounds like kind of from Dust Till Dawny. That's really hard. We don't like this question.
I love horror. This is my favourite part of the quiz.
This is where I got stuck last time and I had to leave.
Okay.
So you're currently on 40 points. There's no shame in walking away, or you can take a punt. You can take a punt at it. What's your gut feeling telling you at the moment?
Say no. I don't think it is.
I don't know, Zephod. I think that might be.
You take the decision.
All right. What were we picking? What do you want to pick? No.
I kind of want to say no.
No, it isn't.
That is correct. Well done.
Yes!
Well done, guys. That's another 10 points. It's actually from Indiana Jones.
Oh, thank God. It did sound very Harrison Ford-esque.
I don't know which one it's from. Not gonna lie. I don't know which one it is, but I know it's an Indiana Jones quote.
I think it's the first one.
Right. You've made it to 50 points. I'm going to drop it down. Certainly not going to drop it down. I'm going to step it up again now as we head into question 6. So who is the main antagonist in the Insidious franchise?
In the franchise?
Yeah. I think he's like the main one in the first sort of film, but I'm not well versed in the Insidious franchise, but I do believe he is reoccurring throughout these films.
I don't know. I
haven't watched it. The little boy, right?
You can't ask me for the answer. I'm the quiz master. I'm telling you the question.
I'm not talking to you, Zephod. Like,
I thought you was asking me then. I was like, I can't tell you the answer.
No, I'm not. There's like a.
I was gonna say originally it was the woman in the black, but I don't think it is.
Just remember, guys, you're 50 points. A solid score. You don't have to take
Insidious. I haven't seen Insidious in like 10 years, so I'm trying to remember like what it was even about, and I'm just thinking like I just remember there being lots of really silly jump scares, and it just really wound me up.
The first one was the demon face guy, the lipstick demon.
Yeah.
So should we go with that?
Lipstick demon. Is that an antagonist?
I don't know what the name is of the actual demon.
I don't think we can use that as an answer.
I will take lipstick demon. You could have gone
Darth
with
Maul.
Yeah, I would have taken Darth Maul.
He did kind of look like that, yeah.
Yeah, I would have taken lipstick face demon, man with fire on his face, red faced man, or Six Tass the demon. Any of those would have been acceptable, but he's actually in 1, 2, 3, and The Last Key.
I don't think I ever watched Last Key.
I haven't seen it.
That's the first, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, well done, guys. 60 points. You're on a roll. You are one question away from catching Heather.
I think
now,
if we keep up with her, I'll be all right.
Question number 7. How many times will Jamie Lee Curtis have played Laurie Strode once Halloween Ends is released?
Halloween 2. Are we counting photos?
No.
Okay.
But I am going to ask you again after you've answered, including photos, just to see if you would have got it or not.
Probably what I've done. So Halloween 2. H2O. Is she in Resurrections? Yeah, she's in Resurrections. And then the newest 3. So what's that? I want to say 6. Wait, 1, 2. 6? Are we saying 6?
Sure, you don't want to count that again?
Don't know. Do I? 1. Halloween 2. Resurrections. H2O. Halloween 2018. Kills. Yeah, 7, sorry.
7.
I did that. I had the right amount of fingers. Apparently, I just can't read my own
The
fingers.
reason why I asked you again is because you listed all of the films and then gave the wrong answer. That is correct.
Well, as well.
Well done, that is correct. You're on 70 points.
If I
This
did
is
it
it. You're now at the time. You are
photos,
now.
would it be 8?
It would have been 8, yeah. It was only in number 4. I think you tied with Wednesday at Wine and Horror. 70 points apiece. You can walk away now in joint first place. Obviously, I'm going to give you the question anyway, but just know you don't have to answer this. If you get this wrong, you lose everything. So, question number 8. Jason Voorhees is synonymous with Friday the 13th franchise, but how many victims does he notch up in the first movie?
0. Final answer.
Katie?
Zafe is carrying me on this one. I can't give you that answer. I don't know it.
Go for 0, final answer?
I'll take the 0 points if it's wrong.
That's correct, well done. You are now at 80 points and currently in first place for this season's Broken Spirit. Well done, guys. I say this season, we have a new quiz coming in season 6, but we're saving it till Scott's return. So I'm just running off the back of the old shite that we did last season.
So if we decide to beat it this time, it won't matter.
No. This still counts towards last season. Don't you worry. You will still reign victorious if you make it to the end without fucking the rest of the questions up. So question number 5.
Zaphod as ever. Yeah, let's do this.
Question number 5. True or false? John Carpenter was a producer for Halloween 4.
I want to say no because I feel like he had nothing to do with it after 2 until later on.
I feel like it's a no too.
Do we risk it though?
Does it feel like a John Carpenter film? Like, think about it.
I think he would have complained a lot about that mask if he was a producer.
I think you're right. Nah, yeah.
We're gonna say no.
You say no? Final answer?
Yeah.
That's right. Well done. You did.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Well done, you guys. You're on 90 points. Here we go. The double digits. Question number 10. Which of the following horror movies was not based on a Stephen King novel?
Oh, I'm going to get this one.
Yeah, I will list you 4. All you have to do is tell me which one is not. The Dead Zone, Children of the Corn, Maximum Overdrive, The Ruins.
The last one.
The Ruins?
Yeah.
Final answer?
Yes.
That's it. 10 points. Well done. 10 questions answered correctly. I thought that one was hard. I need to brush up on my Stephen King knowledge.
I'm a Stephen King fan.
Question number 11. Michael Myers killed more or less than 20 people in Halloween Kills.
100% more. Maybe not 200 or whatever it is, but I think he killed like 30-something people. Or maybe 40-something people. Definitely more than 20, because Halloween Kills, it kills all those firefighters at the beginning, and that's close to 20 as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Does he kill many more after that?
And then there's like the whole mob at the end. At least. If you just count those 2 scenarios, it's more than 20.
What are you saying, Katie?
I'm going to kill more than 20. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Locking it in, final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
That is correct. Well done. You guys are killing me. Absolutely killing me. 11. Well done. You are on 110 points. Here we go. Question number 12. Danny is warned to stay away from which of the following hotel rooms in Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining?
Oh, this is going to be easy.
Do you know it?
Yeah, of course I do. Go on, hit me. Hit me with the... Oh, there's no options.
There's no options.
There's no options in this one, I'm afraid.
It's
not at this point.
I
3 digits.
Yeah, it's like it's either like 216 or 217.
So the Overlook Hotel, room 226. It is. I think you're right. I think there is
6 in it. It's 2-6. I can't remember if it's 1.
It's 2. Yeah, because. Okay.
Just remember, guys, you are on 110 points. You are 11 questions in.
What do you think, Zaphod?
I want to say 216 because it's only 2 floors. That's the way I'm going off it. It's 2 floors for the most part.
so hard. I want to go for it because I feel like I know this, but it's like
if we get it wrong, I'm blaming you.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to be.
And we're not recording on Sunday if we get it wrong.
All right, Zephod, what do you think?
I want to say 216.
I don't think.
The book
it's
is
2 something. I know that.
The book
I know
is different from the novel. The book is different from Kubrick's adaptation. He changed it.
Oh, okay.
I've seen the film more than I have read the book. I've only seen the film once.
Danny is warned to stay away from which of the following hotel rooms in Stanley Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining. I say following like I'm giving you multiple choice. That's just the way I've worded that question. I do apologise.
Okay. You how like confident are you on that number, Zephod?
Like 70. It's not.
I think it comes down to who's willing to take responsibility for this at this point.
I can feel it. I can feel it in my brain. I just 216 you say?
Yeah, but I don't know.
That doesn't feel right to me. That doesn't feel right to me.
What are you thinking, Katie? Where's your head at with this number?
It doesn't feel right. I know it's a 3-digit number. I know it starts with a 2.
And it ends with a 6, I feel like.
It doesn't end with a 6. It doesn't end with a 6.
There is no pressure. You guys take as long as you need to. It's one of those where eventually you'll either know it. You might already know it.
237! 237! That's it!
We'll take Katie's answer.
237!
Say final answer?
237! 237! Please. I'm responsible for this.
Oh, how embarrassing for you is this going to be if this is wrong?
Don't! Just do it to us. Do it.
I'm not. You haven't given me final answer yet, so I'm just saying if that is what you're saying, how embarrassing if that is the wrong answer.
I'll lose. I'll never be. Honestly, I'll take responsibility if it's wrong. It's 237. It is. I'm
final
sure.
Answer, Zephod? What do you say?
Yeah, sure. She seems very adamant that it is, so we'll take it.
I feel like it is, right.
That's the correct answer. Well done, guys.
Where was I getting 6 from?
Sorry,
What was the
sorry for
original
listeners.
number?
Sorry.
Smashing it.
I was just,
Absolutely smashing it.
I was
120
listening to
points.
it in my head. I was thinking,
What's the original number in the book?
217.
Oh.
yeah.
I was
So
close
that's
then.
why-
I was saying 216, 217.
Yeah, you were close when you were saying it, which is why I shouldn't really, but I sort of like the difference. You are 3 questions away from completing this quiz. The only people to have ever completed this quiz.
Technically.
No pressure, guys. No pressure. 3 questions away. Let's see how you do. Question 13. Chucky is a good guy. Apologies, I'll start that again. Question 13. Chucky the good guy doll is possessed by the spirit of which fictional serial killer?
Charles Lee Ray. Final answer.
Don't want me to wear there. Straight away. Well done, that's right. Oh, guys, Scott is going to kill me if you guys complete this quiz. You know that, don't you? Question number 14. Can you tell me the name of the serial killer in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise?
Or do I have to give you his full name, or like the name of the character he wears, I guess?
No, you can't just tell me the fisherman and then call it a day. Do you know what I mean? We're on question 14. I want to know the guy's name at this point.
I was gonna say, because the fisherman's called Bill something. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but that's the question. You can't just tell me Bill something and expect me to just give you the point. You need to tell me his name.
I can't. I don't know what his last name is.
I haven't got it either.
I like that film, but not enough to remember his name.
Yeah, I'm not that invested in that film. Do we take a shot at it? I mean, We could
Do you know
pull
how
out.
many people they could just have a random last name?
It could just be a generic name. We could just make
Well,
up
what are
a
you thinking?
name.
Where's your thoughts at with it as it stands now? If you had to throw some names out of the bag, it might land, it might not. You might all of a sudden just think, that's the one. So where are you at? Give me some ideas. Where's it going?
I ain't got a clue.
I say we take the points and run.
We
So
need
Cody
to
Barley,
run.
let's have some names out of you both. Come on, what are you thinking?
There's the most obvious one, Smith. Johnson.
What's the first name?
Bill Smith.
Bill Smith. Nice.
Oh, come
Where
on.
Where you at?
Is he called Bill or is he called Ben?
Ben?
Bill and Ben.
I know.
Are you sure you're not getting confused with the flower pot men?
The more I put thought into it, the more I'm losing where the name is.
Yeah,
So you're Bill or you're
I
Ben?
I'm pretty sure they only ever mentioned the name twice at the end, and that was like the reveal, pretty much. And I don't remember.
He's actually the main plot point of part 2.
Yeah, I don't remember part 2. That one's not
Yeah,
good.
nobody does, apart from Jack Black with dreadlocks, which is awesome.
And Jeffy Combs. Everyone loves Jeffy Combs.
Everyone loves Jeffy Combs. Maybe. I'm not a big fan.
Oh, rude. No, I don't have a clue. And I don't know if Katie does anymore.
Right, so come on then, guys. That's enough conferring. Question 14. Can you tell me the name of the killer in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise?
I want to say it begins with a B. Like the first
I
name.
cannot say it begins with a B.
I know.
It's not good enough. We don't know. We've done well. We're proud of ourselves. We come for everything, but we accept the number we're at. I think.
Yeah, I think we have to take it. What it's at.
Yeah. We're
still
not
at the top.
gonna do this one.
We're at the top. It's fine.
By a lot. You
Yeah.
know.
Is that it? You're taking it? You're walking away? 13
Yeah,
points?
I think we have to walk away.
130 points, final answer. Taking it away.
Walking away.
13. Yep.
Well done, guys. Congratulations. You are now the reigning champions once more of Broken Spirit.
Woo!
Let's go.
We have one more contender, which we will touch upon next week. Well, not next week. We'll touch upon at the end of this episode. We do have one more contender for the end of the season. But as it stands, you are back in your rightful place as first place. Well done.
Great episode, guys. Wish I could be there. Unbeknownst to Mark, there is actually 2 competitors left for Broken Spirit, but I'm going to leave Mark to dwell on that, and we'll talk about that when I'm back. Number 1, first place, Katie and Zephod, Spaceman and the Doll Podcast.
So that's it for this week's Broken Spirit, and now into facts.
It's time to find out what you know about this movie and what we know. It's facts.
So facts this week. First one I have for you guys is Felissa Rose, who plays Angela, and Karen Fields, who plays Judy, and Catherine Kamahi, who plays Meg, were actually really quite close during filming, and they've all said numerous times throughout throughout conventions and all the rest of it that they found it really hard to throw Angela in the water during that scene. I'm not being funny, guys, but if you were friends with somebody, regardless of whether you like them or not, that's fun to do, is throw one of your mates in the water.
But I think it's it's definitely like a British thing where you just launch a mate into whatever form of liquid is nearby.
Yeah, British people are not nice to each other at the best of times. I've had quite a lot of American people message me, because me and Scott are not nice to one another quite regularly each week. I have quite a lot of people messaging me like, you guys really don't get on. I'm like, no, we're just British, don't worry about it.
It's just the humour.
Yeah, it is indeed. My second fact is the film became an unexpected hit, something of a cult favourite for horror movie buffs, and it actually made 30 times its budget, which is insane for a film of this standard.
Say it's quite slow for the first hour, pretty much. It's definitely impressive.
Yeah, that's what I think so. To make 30 times the amount of money that was spent on it is sort of unheard of, really, for a film like this. As a child, writer and director Robert Hiltzicker, I can't really pronounce his name, so I do apologise, Robert, if you're listening. Not that I'm sure he is. He actually went to the camp that they used to film this film at. So as a child, he went there to this camp. I don't think.
I wonder if any of this is based off like true events, like any of the characters. You know, all that kitchen stuff, maybe. Ooh.
You'd have to think that being a director and a writer of a film, and you film it and set it on a location that you used to go to camp to as a kid, you must have to feel like characters such as Ricky and Paul and even Angela to a certain degree have got to be based on some sort of life experiences. Not probably the trans aspect of it, but the idea and the counselors and all the rest of it, you must feel like they're representations of people he's experienced in his career. In his time at camp, sorry. I don't know if you guys noticed, but at the beginning of the movie, there was a dedication thing flash up. Did you see that? Yeah, yes. This was to his mother who died just before production began, basically. The financial inheritance that he got from her was what basically funded this whole film, which is why he dedicated it to her. And also, as well, Mike Kellen, this was his final film. He was sick during filming, but he did his best to conceal it. He died of lung cancer 3 months before the film was released.
Yeah, he plays Mel.
That's correct, yeah. The guy who is constantly chain-smoking cigars throughout the film died of lung cancer. How ironic.
What a fantastic way to spend inheritance, you know. Curl and I.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? As well, especially such an iconic film as Sleepaway Camp as well, to know that that's what you did with the money you received. That's cool, right?
The franchise is it's not still going, but it's still remembered fondly for the most part. So that's good.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't seen anything past this first one.
I'm curious. People talk a lot about 3.
Yeah, I'll definitely give them a go, I'm sure, at one point or another, but I don't know. So the listener scores for this week, the listeners have scored this a 9 out of 10, which brings me nicely to this week's roundup. For me, Sleepaway Camp is it's a cult classic, one that I've avoided wrongly for many years. And I think the main reason I have avoided this film for as long as I have done is because I knew the ending. And it's one of those, it's like, why do I need to go on the journey when I kind of know how it's going to play out, especially with it being such a pivotal point to the story? It kind of feels like wasted time to watch this film. I regret that a little bit because there's a lot of elements in here that I enjoyed. I really, really like the practical effects. I really like the character development throughout for Angela. I like what it did by handling such bold taboo subjects such as homosexual representation, the killing of children, something that we certainly don't see in cinema. Or we do see in cinema, but it's not as often as we used to see back in the 80s. So I think it was something that deserves recognition for the bold approach it took with these kind of elements. The casting, it was a bit hit and miss. I felt Paul in particular, Judy in particular, and especially the aunt at the beginning was quite hit and miss for me at times. But overall, they fit well with the campy tone and nature of this film. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally ticked it off the list. Do I regret not seeing it sooner? I can't say that I particularly do. I'm going to score this a 7 out of 10. And for the listeners who are piping up and being like, hey, Mark, you don't score yours out of 10, you score them out of 5. I'm playing Scott this week, so I have to score out of 10. What's your thoughts on Sleepaway Camp?
So I'm kind of in the same boat. I kind of just never got around to watching it because I knew the ending. And it's not exactly a twist when you know, obviously. It's similar in the same reign as me watching Jaws. The only reason why I never watched it is because it's so all over pop culture that you know the ending, you know what happens. It's pointless to go and watch it when you see it everywhere. But it's one of those films that still gets talked about even now. It's 40 years later, nearly. It's a good film. It's a little bit slow. There's some strange characters and some strange acting, but it's solid once you sit down and watch it. I rate it, well, I usually do letterbox scores, so I'll say out of 5, about 3.5. I mean, it's a solid film, it's rewatchable.
Yeah, so you're with me on it then. Yeah. You're about a 7-ish out of 10, 3.5. I think if I was doing my original score, I would have been about a 3.5 as well. I think that's a very sort of amicable score for somebody like myself who's coming into it later on. I think, don't get me wrong, I think if I'd have seen this when it first came out in 83, this shit would have blown my mind. I would have been like, wow, this is incredible. And it would have probably been one of my top films of all time. But again, I'm checking this out now and I've got to look at it as the same perspective. And for me, as great as I found it to be and as entertaining as I found it to be, it's not perfect. And that is why it sits at a 7.
Ecstasy didn't enhance the experience nor diminish it, and it made my vagina burn. So 6 out of 10.
A 6 out of 10 based on the fact that it didn't make your vagina burn. Brilliant. Love it.
All films don't make your vagina burn. Ideally.
Hey, depends on the genre. Right, guys. So next week we will be back, and we are back with a host choice. It's a pick of mine, and we will be diving into all things Cenobites, puzzle boxes, and extremely weird and creepy uncles. That's right, we are reviewing Clive Barker's cult classic Hellraiser from 1987. Thankfully, I will not be here alone. No, Scott isn't back just yet, but I will be joined by the fabulous Elise from Horror Review Girl, and also a co-host of the You Run Podcast YouTube channel. Don't forget to head over to our Newsweek channel, where we just leave the right mics running after the show, talk about all upcoming movies and everything else we can about our lives. That show is out every Friday. So if you like us and you listen to us every Tuesday, you can also find us every Friday, where we don't really talk about anything other than a load of nonsense. Thank you all for listening. You guys are awesome. You can go review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can. Tell a friend, whatever you can do to get the show out there really, really helps us all out a lot. And that's it for this week. Cheers, Spaceman The Doll. Thank you both for coming on. You guys have been great. And now, season champions. Well done.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Very well. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you all next week.
Before we forget, you want to die tonight?
Hypochondriac with asthma is in there.
I just lose all sense of equilibrium and I don't know what's happening.
I'm going to say 9 out of 10. Always enjoy watching it every time.
Windmills were fire hazardous.
You literally used the paycheck to pay for a house. That's all it was for.
Meeting someone for the first time, you wouldn't be talking like that.
Because he was so stoned, he'd like half fallen asleep.
You and Tasha are meant to be. Y'all figure that shit out.
I just got fired yesterday. I'm free.
I swear to God, I'm gonna stick that wolf up your asshole.